Everybody's process is different, and I know when I learned a lot about process and would listen to other people, you take it really seriously. What people who have succeeded, have done. It's like, oh, I've got to do it that way, and I do my stuff very specific to me, and it'll work for anybody if you just do it. But at the same time, it's like I hope it's like it feels like it's open enough. Like this is just what I do, but you don't have to do this.
Sure.
This is just yeah.
Oh no, it's not coming across as like sort of dogmatic. Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, okay.
No, you're not stopping people at airports. Yeah, you're fine. Right. No, but I think it's good too because people can take a little bit from here and a little bit from there. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's not coming off as this is the ultimate way. Can we talk about where your characters come from and what's your process for developing them?
Well, they say that you want to put a character. When you're moving, for the beginning of a movie or something, you want to put your character where they would least like to be. It's at a moment of crossroads where their life is going to change and you're going to take that journey with them, and you put them out of you get them out of their comfort zone, basically. And the reason they're in a comfort zone is because they're kind of doing something wrong. Their personality, there's something in that personality that's Writers Boot Camp calls it a misbehavior. It's a great word. It's an adjective to describe what they're doing wrong, how they're negatively affecting other people, but we still care about them anyway, and it shows how they can change. So you find somebody, you create a character who is doing something wrong or ineffectively, and somebody's going to have to come into their life who's going to kind of turn them around and compliment them and get the best out of that personality and then have them make that personality work for them. So you just try to find a character at a crossroads who's going to do something interesting, especially when you're writing things that are not plot-driven necessarily, like The Bourne Identity or something. You're writing character. If you're writing character-driven things, whether it's a comedy or drama or whatever, but there's it's driven by character, which always make for the best stories. And so then you figure out who needs to come into that character's life to help them on this journey, help them accomplish this mission. Movies are basically about a relationship, about two people on a journey, with people around them and supporting characters and an opponent and all that. But it's basically, I boil it down to the main character and who comes into their life to go on that journey with them, and what is that relationship like. So in creating the main character, whether it's a man or a woman, they always say that we are our main characters. Whoever we're writing, we could be writing a serial killer, but they are us. We're infusing them with our point of view, not our values, not our history, but what our point of view is, or how we see what their point of view should be. If that makes sense. So part of it is knowing what the journey, setting the character, creating an interesting character in an interesting environment, but knowing that they need to be on a journey to solve the issue of their life and the movie. And I start there.
Is it different for stage plays versus screenplays?
A little bit different. It can be very similar, but still, even a stage play, you want that stage play to begin at a moment of a very important moment for that character's life, the moment that changes it all, or that the time that's going to shift them as people and their lives. So they walk away, they emerge from that story, kind of a different person. April, May, and June is these three sisters come together, and they're all pretty much set in their ways and they're okay the way they are, but by the end of this afternoon they really have a better understanding of who they are, why they've done what they've done in their lives, and why they've reacted to both of their dead parents, late parents, in such different ways. And it's all because of this kind of like combustion that happens with the three people, these three women, over the course of a couple of hours in an afternoon. So you want them to come through their journey, as a changed person in some way. Some characters don't need changing, so that may not be as interesting a character, but we all need to do something better. We all need to do something more effectively, even if it's to learn how to have a relationship with somebody. What's a romantic comedy except two, basically unexpected or mismatched people who sparks fly, and then they realize that they can complement each other, make each other better people, and be with somebody that they never expected, until maybe they can't, and then of course at the end they do, but it's finding people at an interesting point in their life, who have something to learn.
So let's take a writer that's maybe has too dull or flat of a character versus one that's it's too much stuff. They're putting too much.
Right.
How do you know?
Well, you know, you want to keep your character on a track, you know, and you want to have a goal in mind, you know, whether the goal is to have that romantic relationship, to rob that bank, to come to terms with their addiction, you know, whatever it is, you want them to have an end goal and keep them on a track. And as soon as you start getting away from all of that, short of like the kind of interesting human moments that may happen along the way of a journey, then you realize you're kind of diffusing your story, and you know, then we're losing the focus of the character. So I think you usually pretty much know when you're going off the track, when your character is just not acting the way you'd like them to.
Well, I know you've seen so many films, and you're also a film reviewer. Can you talk about some of your favorite films where that character starts out in a very uncomfortable place? Well,
you know, comedies are always great. You know, one of my favorite movie comedies is 16 Candles, the John Hughes movie with Molly Ringwald. And you know, the great thing about that movie, it's just, you know, it's relatable. You got the annoying grandparents, you got the clueless parents, you got the annoying sister, you got all the dweeby kids in school. It's like everybody can relate to all of that. And you know, Samantha, Molly Ringwald's character, she's just, you know, she's in the worst moment of her life. You know, nobody knows it's her birthday. She's 16. Everybody forgets. The dorky guy likes her. The hot guy doesn't pay attention to her. You know, it's just this little microcosm, and she's like so uncomfortable and so self-conscious, and by the end of that, she just gets a little bit of confidence, you know, and like the cute guy likes her, and I love that movie. You know, it's just funny, but it's so sweet and so smart. You know, that's one of my favorites. I mean, and even Tootsie, you know, he's such a self-possessed guy, but he's in such a bad place because he has no money and he can't get a job, and he doesn't want to play a tomato the way they want him to on commercials and all of that, and he just really goes to the wall to try to do something to be successful, and it completely upends his life, you know. So he's out of his comfort zone, but he makes the best of it. That movie is all about being out of your comfort zone, but yet making it work for you, which I like. But you know, on a dramatic front, you know, when you deal with thrillers or something, you know, those characters are put in, Silence of the Lambs, you know, great film, great book. She's somebody who's thrust in. She's somebody who's almost not ready to be thrust into this horrifying world she is, and she's got like such she's got somebody in an Anthony Hopkins character that who's tests her so much, and you know, is so smart, you know, and such a spider in the fly kind of thing, and she's so out of her league. That's an interesting character who we begin with in a very uncomfortable place, who is made even more uncomfortable. He uses that discomfort, uses her past, you know, the difficulty of her past to really emerge through and really succeed. So that's kind of fascinating.